And for more on this, we are now being joined by Stephen Golub, who's joining us live from California. Mr. Golub is an international affairs expert and a political analyst. Welcome to the show, Mr. Golub.
Thanks for having me.
Right, Mr. Golub, on one hand, Washington has called India its strategic partner, while on the other hand, it has urged India to hold accountable those who are behind the alleged plot to kill Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. The paramount question being that if Washington calls New Delhi a strategic partner, shouldn't it be helping India in its war against terrorism?
Yeah, I think it helps to understand the context of the rather perhaps idiosyncratic U.S. legal and political culture here, in that people in America can get away with saying all sorts of threatening things without facing any kind of indictment or criminal charges. The leading example is Donald Trump, our former president, who's made all sorts of allegations and charges and threats against all sorts of folks, but hasn't been taken to court about it, hasn't been indicted about it, because that, again, is the nature of our political and legal culture. There's a tolerance for threats. Just to pick one example, Trump pretty much accused the former Joint Chiefs of Staff who served under him, who was appointed by him, of treason after he left office, after both of them had left office, and said that such a crime would deserve death. So that's a pretty heavy charge to levy against someone. And given Trump's influence, he really could trigger someone else who's a follower of his to go forward with and act on such a threat. Now, to respond to more directly to your yes, on-point question, I think the United States would need evidence of Pannun actually in being involved with a terrorist plot in order to take action to extradite him. And the fact that the FBI director is flying to India to talk with your government, and that your own government seems to be taking these charges by the U.S. of a plot to kill this fellow very seriously, would seem to indicate that perhaps it's not a black and white situation.
Right. Mr. Golub, the point that you made there regarding Trump and the situation here, the Pannun row, is two completely different scenarios. Just to reverse the scenario, would U.S. be okay if a designated terrorist sitting on the Indian soil threatens the United States of America?
It might depend on what the nature of the supposed threat is. I don't mean to totally dispute what you're saying, but based on the videos I've seen, this fellow was talking about a boycott. Now, he did say that people could die after November 19th, but it wouldn't amount, at least under U.S. law, to necessarily a terrorist threat. Similarly, with his statements regarding the Indian parliament. And I'm aware of, the 1985 horrific Air India bombing carried out by Sikh extremists. But it doesn't seem that this fellow's threat rises to that same level, and that if it were the equivalent of someone in India making a threat along those lines, I don't think the U.S. government would be demanding extradition. I shouldn't call it a threat, making a statement along those lines. No, I don't think the U.S. government would be making a demand for extradition.
Mr. Golub, just a few days ago, Pannun threatened that he would attack the Indian Parliament before or on December 13th. And in the last few weeks, we've seen that the Indian government, it has rather provided the U.S. with evidence of terrorist acts on their soil. Evidence has been provided, but no action has been taken. My question to you is that what do you think the U.S. can do at the moment to diffuse tensions?
Well, I think in terms of the strategic partnership and friendship with India, that's strong regardless of what happens here. Nations can sometimes disagree about matters, including serious national security matters, and still maintain that partnership in view of all sorts of common economic, diplomatic, and strategic interests, including, for example, China. So I don't think the partnership is threatened or the U.S. means to demean the partnership. I guess I return to the point that, well, what proof is there that this fellow is actually engaged in terrorist acts?
Right, Mr. Golub. Thanks very much for joining us in WION and sharing your insights with us.
Okay, thank you.